You ever listen to somebody on the left talk politics and you feel like you're drowning in buzzword soup? It's like they raided the sociology department's dumpster, decided every scrap was gourmet. Let me set the scenery for you. You're scrolling through X or, God forbid, Blue Sky or Threads, or watching cable, and then suddenly, that's problematic. We need to center marginalized voices. This is rooted in white supremacy, decolonize your soul, intersectional oppression, hegemonic patriarchy, neoliberal late stage capitalism, toxic masculinity, cis heteronormativity. Oh, here's an old classic one: ableist microaggressions. And of course, my personal favorite, that's literally violence. They string them together like incantations. The hegemonic, neoliberal, cis, heteropatriarchal, white supremacist framework perpetuates the intersectional oppression against marginalized bodies experiencing clerical violence through ableist microaggressions. Bro, what? Not gonna lie, I used AI to actually come up with that last paragraph, because holy shit, I just typed in, give me the most fucking cringy ass fucking... It's no longer a conversation. It's now a performance art. It is a dance that you do to virtue signal that I'm one of the chosen. It's a performance art. It's idea babble. That term was coined by a guy by the name of Take History, and he's on YouTube. And what it is fancy sounding noise designed to make the speaker feel morally superior while the listener feels stupid for not having a PhD in grievance studies. And I could talk about this all day. However, there's one group in particular that uses it more than any other. Every group does it. But there's one group that uses it to an absolute extreme, and it makes them look foolish. It makes them feel special. But to the common man, they look like fools. And the wild part is that half the time the people dropping these bombs, they don't pause to define them. They'll get mad and they will tell you to do your own research. And when you do the research and you find out that the thing that they're talking about is absolute nonsense, they get mad and call you all of their preferred set of slurs. Like getting called transphobic for not understanding, okay, so what is a woman? Just by asking that question. Loved that documentary. Now, here's where it really gets insidious. These aren't just annoying buzzwords. They're weapons that have been sharpened to a point to where they've lost their edge. Because they don't describe reality anymore. They replace it. Take, for instance, fascism. Have you ever asked any of these people to actually define fascism? They'll do is they'll say, it's nationalism, it's being Christian, it's being white. When really... No, if you know anything about Giovanni Gentili, somebody who very few of these individuals actually know anything about, you find out that fascism, at its most basest of form, isn't actually racist. And these are the same people who think that National Socialism was fascism, when it had a few things in common, but it wasn't. The bad mustache people were actually a different form of socialism. Remember what it meant something, fascist. The one-party rule, the cult of the leader, the suppression of dissent, militarism, ultranationalism, and the state directs private industry for national glory, aggressive imperialism, and the violent authoritarian package. These sermons have me parched. But take, for instance, Donald Trump, the guy that they call the F word the most. Yeah, he's a corpo guy, but he hasn't nationalized anything. The cult of the leader? Okay, that one, yeah. TDS has two different sides of that particular coin. Suppression of dissent, you're not suppressed on anything. And as for militarism, he didn't start bombing people till his second term. And then you look at the places he bombed, he got out as soon as possible. Ultranationalism, that came about naturally due to all the people who are being anti-nationalism. It's literally a pendulum swing, and we are most certainly not getting a one-party rule, because if Trump was the fascist they claim he is, Democrats would be being marched into camps by now. starting with the most popular ones. Hassan Piker wouldn't be able to sit there and bitch about America on a daily basis if we were fascist. But nope, there he is, sitting there in his Porsche, allegedly abusing his dog. Allegedly. It's interesting that he's such a communist, yet he lives such a bourgeois lifestyle. It's interesting. Bourgeois, it's a word that they would be using, but it kind of falls out of favor since most of the people who utilize this word are very bourgeoisie themselves. But what is, to the left, fascism? It's everything that they don't like. Disagree with open borders? You're a fascist. Voter ID? Fascist. Support free speech on a college campus? You're literally a fascist. Criticize DEI quotas? You're enabling fascism. Republican wins an election. That's how fascism starts. Trump says something blunt, textbook fascist rhetoric. Well, in this case, it's like, I wouldn't even call that fascism. That's just Trump being a jackass. And I love it. I've called Mitt Romney a fascist, John McCain a fascist, George Bush a fascist, Ronald Reagan a fascist. Even, I swear this happened, they've called people fascist for wanting lower taxes in school choice. How is lower taxes fascist? The thing that puts more money in your pocket so that you can do things is apparently a sign of fascism. Oh, we just want, the rich to, pay their fair share. It's not my fault that you make money working a low-end job at Starbucks. Now, let's be completely honest here. You know the coffee's going to be absolutely fucking fire when the person serving it to you has blue hair, a nose ring, and all the little buttons, all the pronoun buttons. Just don't wear a Trump hat whenever you do this. They will spit in your coffee. At this point, the word fascist just means anyone to the right of me. And it's the equivalent of calling somebody a poopy head. That's it. It's the same as calling them a dumbass. Because they don't believe as you do. But like Charlie Kirk said, you need to have a conversation with these people. And these people don't want to have conversations. But the word has been screamed so often that so many normal, non-genocidal people that it doesn't scare them anymore. It just sounds like noise. It's the same thing with being called a Nazi. Except now you got a bunch of weak-minded motherfuckers who have actually decided that they're actually going to look up, they're going to read Mein Kampf, and they're going to do like what they did in Germany. It's like, we've actually got a Nazi problem, and the left has created it. We now have actual Nazis, and the left created it. Because anyone who has any sort of critical thought, who's ever read Mein Kampf, knows that this book is absolute fucking hot garbage. And now you got a couple of weak-minded fools who are reading it, thinking it's the greatest thing ever. And now we've got Nazis. We've actually got Nazis. Thanks a lot, left. And that's dangerous because fascism, any form of collectivism, like the kind with the black shirts, the death squads, the book burnings, they're horrific. And when you dilute the term to cover the tax cuts or border security and you make it impossible to spot the actual thing, God forbid, when it shows up, you've cried wolf so many times that when the wolf finally arrives, people just roll their eyes. And it's interesting because actual fascism as created by Giovanni Gentili, the guy that Mussolini followed every political thing that he said, this man.
The joy of flat-chested women is something I must share. Their streamlined forms are a delight, unencumbered by excess. It's a pure aesthetic pleasure that flatters the eye.
It's so dumb. People just roll their eyes now. Giovanni Gentili said that fascism was the most viable form of socialism. Because at its core, socialism, communism, fascism, they all have the same poison that binds them all to being cousins of one another. And it's all garbage. It's collectivism. And collectivism, nothing good has ever came from collectivism. Every single time collectivism has ever been shown in any way, shape, or form, it's absolutely destroyed everything that's come in contact with. You don't see too many countries keep that form of government for very long. The litmus test for socialism, communism, and fascism, we've tried all those, and usually within 50 years, though some have lasted a little bit longer, they fail. And this is also the political ideology that these people absolutely just love. But let's talk about the king of all these deluded verbal weapons, and that is racism. The amount of things that I hear get compared to white supremacy, it's ridiculous. Milk is racist. Yes, that was actually a thing. Punctuality is racist. Math is racist. Like, how the hell is math is... How is it racist? You look at the things that these people have called racist. Milk is racist. Math is racist. Punctuality is racist. The nuclear family is racist. Saying all lives matter is rooted in white supremacy. Criticizing looting is racist. Liking country music is racist. The English language is racist. Expecting people to show up on time for work is racist. And the absolute king of things being called racist. Bird watching. I'm not making this up. People have called bird watching racist. If you question affirmative action, you're a racist. It's even worse if you're white, because, I mean, these people, the left, they believe that inherently because you are white, you are a racist and you need to check your privilege. That's another buzzword that has lost its potency due to its overuse and incorrect use. Racism is defined by any disparity plus power. Therefore, only certain groups can be racist. Therefore, ergo, expanded forms of racism include unconscious bias, cultural appropriation, tone policing, white fragility, and just plain disagreeing with progressive dogma. Just any of this. Just, being, hey, wait a minute, can you explain this? That alone is enough to get called racist. And the end result is that words are meaningless. The word now has no meaning. It has been used to mean hating or discriminating against someone because of their race, and now it just means anything that makes the progressives uncomfortable. Any outcome I don't like, unless I can blame it on the systems. These are the same people who, whenever you talk about having voter ID, they say that minorities can't figure out where the post office is. Look it up. They can't get their IDs. I don't want to continue on with this argument. I really don't want to continue on with the examples. Real racism does exist still. It's ugly, it's violent, it's stupid. But you only hear about when white people do it. Why? Because that gets the most clicks, that gets the most views. But whenever you look at this, you look at all the things that have been done in the name of anti-racism. If you really pay attention, it feels more like it's a group of white people who look at minorities as a pet. You must be cared for. You must be nurtured. You must be treated special, and I can pet you, and I can feel like, I'm special and powerful because I could do these things because of my inherent white privilege. And you see, this is actually the beginning of where my brown ass decided I don't want to ever vote Democrat. In high school, I realized that the people who wanted to speak for me because they believed that I couldn't speak for myself based on the color of my skin were the most unlikable, annoying people on the planet. And I've never voted Democrat ever in my life because of that. The topic of racism, it poisons discussion. When somebody brings up that's racist, the conversation ends. No debate, no evidence needed. You're just a bad person. Shut the fuck up. It's the ultimate conversation ender, and that's the point. Idea babble isn't about understanding. It's about control. It's about marking territory. If you don't speak this language, you're not one of us, and you're not ever going to be one of us. You're the enemy. So the next time you hear idea babble, the next time you hear a torrent of the problematic, hegemonic, intersectional, fascist, racist, cis, white, supremacist violence, just ask the one simple question. Because they lose their minds when you do this. What do you actually mean by that? Can you define that? You called me a fascist. What's a fascist? Can you explain that? Can you explain how I'm a fascist? Please tell me. How am I a fascist? How am I any of these things? Oh, do my own research? That just tells me that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Let's go back to racism for a moment. Let's go back to racism. Does anybody remember the Proud Boys and when they were being called this ultimate white supremacist group? Does anybody remember when the Proud Boys were being told, when everyone was like, oh, they're all white supremacists, they're all evil white power motherfuckers? You know the Proud Boys, that supposedly evil white supremacist group? Yeah. So you figure the leader would have a bunch of swastikas on him. Yeah, I mean, obviously it sounds like something that'd be like, ran by a white guy. Okay, hold on a moment. Let me just pull this up for you. This is Enrique Tarrio, and he is a Afro-Cuban. They were claiming an organization ran by an Afro-Cuban is white supremacist. Words have no meaning to these people. Whenever you hear idea babble, the simple point of it is to put you into a state where you think these people are smart because they can string together a whole bunch of words. You know how many times I've had to retake this video because I had to string together actual fucking quotes of the dumb shit that they say? A lot. Idea babble is nothing more than vibes. They're not arguments, they're things to make them feel special. They're spells and incantations to separate you from them. So let's retire the buzzwords and talk like adults again. Define your terms, bring evidence, argue in good faith, but we already know that's not going to happen. Because if everything is fascist, nothing is. If everything is racist, nothing is. And if everything is problematic, then nothing is. Like, on some real shit, whenever I heard Jake Lang almost died in Minneapolis, my first thought was, is he really a racist? Come on. Is that just something that you actually say just to make yourself feel special? And then I see video of him going, Sieg Heil, Hail Hitler, and all that other dumb shit, and I'm just like, oh, wow, they're actually right for once. Wow, what do you know? They were actually correct about something. Wow. Thanks for listening. Now go touch grass. It's not racist, I promise.